Speaking of the tournaments, this is an issue that's been addressed pretty recently in Hearthstone repeatedly, whether it's through a bunch of accounts or just even within the community itself. Let's talk a little about women and the representation. You even put out a YouTube video explaining a lot of the issues, which was great. I learned a lot. Do you feel like, we're not really going to talk too much about the issue. In fact, we'll probably just advertise your YouTube right here that shows that video. But, in terms of taking a proper step in the right direction, do you feel like this Battlegrounds event was good, or do you feel like, Blizzard may have overcorrected, right? Because some people were accusing Blizzard of doing that. Like, oh, you're just going too far the other direction now to make up for your previous mistakes.
Yeah, I was a little afraid when I was like, oh my gosh, we have over 50% women. Like it felt a slightly like a little overcorrection. I was a little bit nervous. I was like, oh, like a lot of these women who were invited to the tournament didn't have much big screen experience yet, and a lot of them were thrown into it, and I was very excited for them, but I was also I've been very nervous for them this last week. I've been trying to like talk to them behind the scenes. I've played with a few of them behind the scenes to make sure they were ready, and just like keeping their anxiety levels down, talking to them as much as I could, because I feel like talking can help with that. But I do hope that it helped. I think it will take time to know if it did, because we need to see, did these women grow? Will there be more women that are prominent because people see that they are just as good as the men? And just needed a tiny bit of a spotlight to prove it. And I think they had that spotlight, and a lot of them proved themselves. Some of them had a bad day, but that happens to the boys too. It just happens in this game. So I really hope that we see a lot of these women growing now. And I always want the men to grow too. I think some people don't understand that about me. They think that I just want women to grow in esports. I want men to grow as well. There's a few guys in the space that are smaller streamers that I'm always trying to promote and help out. And there's women as well. Like I just want everyone to make it if they have the skill and the charisma and the talent. Not everyone can do this, but I've found so many faces that can, and I just want them up there. It's just good and healthy for the game, for everyone to have their old favorites and their new favorites and that will keep them in Hearthstone. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great mentality. I think a lot of people feel like someone else's success takes away from theirs, and it's because it's very competitive.
It's such a bad attitude, I think. I think you build each other up. That's how I've done it, like how I've made it. I feel like I've just tried to like work with people, and I've built so many friendships because of it. And I love having these friendships because I can like text Ali Straza and just like vent to her about my day or like something like that. She'll text me about like some guy who was mean in her chat. Like she's like, did I ban them? Like, was it too aggressive of a ban? Like we text each other all the time, and it's been nice to build these friendships along the way and help each other out. And I want to help other people like people helped me.
That's great. So in terms of the event itself, now that we've seen it run, I felt like it was okay on my end. Is there anything that stood out to you, or do you feel like everything was cool?
It seemed good from my end, but again, like I'm in my stream, right? I'm not in the main channel. So the nice thing about these events is since we're streaming for our own channels, we're in our own comfort zone almost. And I never go back and read chat. I think it's a self-deprecating thing to do. I would only do it on a game that I won. But if I don't do well for a game, I close the chat out and I don't read it, because it's not going to be helpful for your mentality to grow as a gamer. So I don't know if it went well or not, and I hope it did. I did get to catch like the early part of the tournament with you and Gia, and that was great. Thanks for hyping me up.
That's my job. That's what they pay me to do. Let's talk a little bit about, kind of sort of adjacent to this topic, a person that's even more vocal and more in the forefront and in the spotlight is SunGlitter. She was on your team. It was also her first like big tournament, and she killed it as well, topping out in the top standings with points. What's it like behind the scenes and talking with her? I just want to get to know her a little bit when she's not necessarily trying to, talk about what's on her mind constantly, very loudly into the microphone.
So SunGlitter is an amazing, amazing human and friend, because she's always going to stick up for you and fight for what she believes in. And she's amazing at the game and one of the most entertaining content creators ever because she's vocal and she's loud and she's funny. She has like all the qualities of a great streamer um and a competitor because she's so good at the game. But she wasn't getting opportunities and it was really pissing me off. And so the thing about SunGlitters and I is we are very different on our approaches to things. I am very quiet. I keep things to myself. I privately have conversations with people, and she's very vocal. So I think we are a really good dynamic because she will DM me and be like, I'm about to pop off at this person. I'll be like, let's calm it down. Or like finally I'm about to blow up about something and she's like, yes, you need to speak out. And so she'll kind of give me the courage I need to speak out. So we have a really good dynamic in friendship. We're in a group chat with two of our guy friends too, Merps and Orange, and we talk every day. Like I'm sitting here looking at my Discord, there's 100 messages from those three. I don't know what they're talking about right now, but we talk all the time. We have such a great dynamic, even though we've never hung out together.
That's great. Well, I mean, no one can right now, so don't feel bad
Right.
about it.
We all became friends during COVID. So I've seen Merps once before at a TwitchCon, but I've never seen SunGlitters. And I think I've seen Orange at like 2 competitions, but we never hung out. So, but now we talk every day. So
That's great. You know, a little good cop, bad cop dynamic. Gotta love that.
yeah, we definitely do.
Looking forward to the movie soon. So let's talk a little bit about some other life stuff here before we send you off. Appreciate you taking the time. You know, so you mentioned that, you know, you also really want to help out like guys who are trying to rise up and obviously the women. So can you talk to me about maybe who your favorite Battleground streamer or player outside of yourself and some of the people mentioned so far?
So some like up and comers that I really like to watch are Bofer and Lee. Beaufort does such a good job at explaining his plays, and so does Lee, and they're both top leaderboard players. Lee's been #1, and I think Beaufort's been #3 on the leaderboards, and they're both great content creators. Highly recommend. SunGlitter is just so entertaining. Like I don't even have to watch; I just listen because I just laugh all the time at her. And then Nina is Noob. She was in the tournament. She's an excellent player. She's getting her YouTube going. Great editing on her YouTube. Highly recommend her as well.
Awesome. You know, so there's some people who obviously have followed you back when you were playing a bunch of standard and constructed tournaments. Is there ever a plan to, or not necessarily plan, but do you ever see yourself coming back and playing that game mode?
I mean, I kind of wanted to with the new core set, and then what happened was I ended up doing the playtesting for the theory crafting of standard, and when I posted it on YouTube, I just had so many negative comments about how terrible I am at standard, and it put me back into this space that I didn't like. Back when I was in standard, I did enjoy it, but I felt like I was always having to prove myself and that I never got respect. So when I went back to playing it recently, I felt like I was back in that position again, even though I know I've proved myself so many times. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, I'm good at the game. Like, and so I just find for some reason that the mentality of the standard player is a little bit more aggressive than I enjoyed. And I didn't like the mental space it put me in. So I'm really happy in Battlegrounds right now. I really like the community. I really like all the streamers in it. And I really like the game mode. So I like the pace of it too. I think standard, I don't love the pacing of the game for streaming. And if I'm gonna play a game, it needs to be streamable in my opinion, because that's my job. So
Sure.
So at this point, I don't see myself playing it. But if Hearthstone ever did some sort of like a decathlon event where you had to be a master of all game modes, like count me in. I would definitely come back for that. But like for now, I think Battlegrounds is where I'm happy.
You'd be one of the top candidates for a person that I would pick as a front runner. So I think that'd be really cool. Let's talk a little bit about what you just said, which was, branching out into different things. Whenever I talk to Hearthstone streamers, or just streamers in general, a lot of people are always talking about things that they were also explore, whether it's another game or maybe even just other projects. Is there anything else that you see yourself in the near future that you'd like to branch out into outside of streaming games or Hearthstone?
Um, outside of streaming or outside of streaming Hearthstone?
Let's start with outside of streaming Hearthstone.
So it is really like as a streamer, variety content is really hard to do in the card game space because in the card game space there is a high level of monetary involvement and knowledge. So when you switch from one card game to another, your viewers are like, well, I don't have the money to invest in that, and I don't have the time to learn it all. And so they're less likely to skip around games with you than they are for like a shooter game or a MOBA where it's a little bit easier to follow. So as in terms of streaming, I kind of played in the water a little bit with TFT, but I'm not great at TFT, and it's kind of like my fun off-stream game right now. I haven't had time to play it too much since the new set because of all the stuff happening with Quillbore. But that's kind of my like off stream game. And if I ever hit a certain rank, I think I would stream it more. But until I get that confidence, until I hit those ranks, I don't think I would stream it.
Totally, I get that, and I would feel the exact same way, especially because if you think backseating is bad in Battlegrounds, I mean,
right?
You should look at some of the TFT streams.
Yeah, I read some of the stuff. Like this one guy was stopping streaming for a week because like he couldn't mentally take the backseaters anymore, and I'm just like, oh, and I understand that, and I also feel like I've been watching a lot of TFT and realizing a lot of people are like one-trick ponies. Can I say that?
Yeah,
there's a lot of one-trick ponies at TFT.
They embrace it. They're like, I'm totally a one-trick. Yeah.
You cannot be a one-trick pony in Battlegrounds. That's for sure. You can't just force the same comp every time because there's so much variation of what you're offered and the heroes and stuff. And I can kind of see it in TFT, but you do have to be good at being a one-trick pony. You have to know like how to like the variations per situation. So it's not like easy to be like a great one-trick pony, right? Like you can get to a certain level doing it in TFT. But yeah, so the problem with being a strategy game player is you either have to be super confident and take no crap from your chat or viewers and be like, no, I'm confident in what I do is what I do. Or you have to be able to take the backseat gaming while you're learning. And that's tricky for me.
That's an art form in itself.
Yeah. So, like, I see someone like Crip. I feel like Crip can play any game because he has the confidence. He's like, no, I'm the best. Like, he's got that just confidence, and he can do it.
It's all that vegan power. Yeah, actually, so this would be the final question. I wasn't really necessarily planning on asking this, but I'm glad the topic got brought up. There is a lot of comparisons of TFT and Battlegrounds. Do you think they can coexist competitively in the future moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I feel like a lot of the people from the Riot world are super into TFT, and a lot of people from the Blizzard world are super into Hearthstone. I think more of the casuals would be more inclined to do Battlegrounds. It's kind of like Magic versus Standard, right? Like Magic is the high tier where the casuals come more to Hearthstone. And I could see that with TFT and Battlegrounds where the casuals really enjoy Battlegrounds and the more high involvement like TFT. And Magic and Hearthstone's always been able to coexist, but I feel like having a third is where you get really tricky, right? Like Legends of Runeterra tried to come in as the middle piece, and there wasn't the space for it. And so I think they can coexist because one has a more casual viewership base and player base, and the other one opposite. So yeah, definitely.
For sure. I guess we'll just have to wait for Legends of Runeterra Auto Battler, I guess, and then the cycle will be complete. All right.
Aren't they Riot?
I guess so.
They have one, but I guess it's auto. Yeah, it's TFT. They have their own.
Yeah, it was all just fun and games. All right. Well, Thank you so much for taking the time, Slysssa. Is there any final shout outs or message and thank you that you'd like to say before we go?
I guess thanks to my team for being awesome. Show, SunGlitters, and Collins. We all worked really well together to win it. I had good games the first 3 games, and I had bad games the last 4. But SunGlitters and Collins were just super on par all through the mid, and Show picked it up in the end too. So yeah, we were just a really awesome team together. So I have to thank them for helping me win that money.
That's right. So congratulations once more to the Team Briarbacks, featuring all the players that Slysssa mentioned, as well as, of course, Slysssa for once more adding to her trophy collection. This has been Frodan with Esports GG. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.